32-year-old Maddie Barker is facing bankruptcy after her car is repossessed as she owes property taxes on a home she inherited from her mother, which became a problem since she is an Uber driver. With history of romance with Gary, Maddie tried to convince him to pay for her tax, but Gary is determined for closure. With no other transpo, she skates to her work as a bartender but happens to pass by her towed car when Gary made a stopover to buy food. Maddie tried to get her car back, but Gary caught her as she was unsuccessful. Sarah tried to help her by looking cheap cars being sold on Craigslist, while Jim proposes on just renting her house, but Maddie disagrees as she doesn't want any strangers from her house. They then found an Craigslist advertisement about parents willing to give a car in exchange for dating their son and bringing him out of his shell. In a desperate situation, to avoid losing the house, Maddie agreed to accept the advertisement. She met with Allison and Laird Becker to know more about the details. Maddie fits the profile except she was too old for their son, but Maddie managed to convince them. Allison and Laird Becker wanted their son to boost his confidence before entering college, but Percy's parents had one condition: them to keep the deal within themselves. 19-year-old Percy Becker spends alone most of the time doing his things, but also volunteers at an animal shelter. Maddie then went to the shelter and approached Percy, pretending to adopt a dog. Percy then introduces Milo, a former police dog who was forced to retire for being addicted with drugs. Percy then interviews Maddie to get her information to see if she is eligible to adopt a dog, but did not finish the interview and pretended that his shift is done, urging Maddie to come back next time. Maddie demands to have a dog as Percy ended up telling her that pet ownership is not for her. Maddie then offered Percy a ride home for them to keep chatting. Percy tried to clear to his boss that they could not leave not until shift is over due to company policy, but Maddie took his bag, leaving him no choice but to follow her. As Percy looked at Maddie's van, he decided to just bike his way home, but Maddie loaded his bike on the van, prompting Percy to go with her. Along the way, Percy noticed that they took the wrong turn, and upon arriving at Maddie's house, Percy sprayed pepper spray to her as he thought she was kidnapping him. Maddie argued she won't be kidnapping him because he's already a teen. Percy then helped her wash her eyes as he is sorry for the misunderstanding. Percy then offered her a date to make up for his mistake. The next day, Percy met Maddie on a bar. While chatting, Travis interrupted them. With Travis spoiling the mood, Maddie asks Percy if he wants to change venue, to which the latter gladly approves. Maddie then brings Percy on a beach and enjoyed swimming. But a bunch of drunk teenagers tried to steal their clothes, and Maddie was able to stop them. They ended up at Maddie's place tending Percy's rushes as they continued to chat about their bad experience. As they met the following day, they began enjoying each other's company. Maddie was able to open up about her family, citing she's a product of parents out of wedlock, that her father just wanted to clean his mess and bribed them with a house and money to keep them away. She tried reaching out to her dad through a letter, but the letter went back to her unopened. They then met Jody, Percy's former nanny. As they talked, Jody threw a frisbee and Percy went to fetch it. With Percy away, Jody got frank with Maddie about her real goal with Percy and threatened her not to hurt him. Suddenly, Do Khan, a former classmate, now a real estate broker, appeared at her doorstep, trying to buy her property, but she refused. Being both not able to experience going to a prom date, they tried to imitate a prom night and went for dinner. During their dinner, Natalie tells Percy to play the piano for her. As Percy plays the piano and sing, Natalie stares at him and amazed. After his performance, the other customers applauded him. Then Madeline approached him as she praised him for his song and excitedly chats about them both going to same school. She then invited Percy to a party, but Maddie arrogantly declines as they already made plans. As Percy and Maddie talks about their long-term plans, they had a disagreement about the adjustment. Percy ended the dinner in disappointment. On their way home, Percy, still disappointed, brings them to the party Natalie invited him with. Percy leaves Maddie in the car, whom did not want to go to the party, but Maddie followed him in and began looking for him. As Maddie was searching for Percy, the students began filming her for throwing inappropriate jokes. Evading them, she then asks two girls about Percy's whereabouts, where they told her his with another girl. In rush, Maddie began opening the rooms in search for him and banged hardly with a locked door. Unable to open for her, she broke the door and confronted them. But Natalie told her that nothing happened as Percy seemingly took something. Maddie then assisted him to make him throw up, but discovers it was just ibuprofen. Maddie was confronted by the owners of the house while students were filming them. Percy, wanting to protect her, swings his arm but ended up punching Maddie's throat. Then they decided to leave the party. On their driveway, Percy ended up confessing his feelings for Maddie. But Maddie told him not to because he might just be drunk. The next morning, Laird offers Percy to drop him off to his work so they could chat, but Percy proposes if he could drive as he needed to practice to get his license, which excites his parents. Percy talks about his girlfriend Maddie not wanting a long-distance relationship and dismisses his plans in going to Princeton, which shocked his parents. Allison and Laird calls Maddie and Maddie told them that she could not continue with the plan as Percy is getting attached. Laird told her she could get the car if she managed to convince Percy going to Princeton, but the plan was inadvertently discovered by Percy, leaving him hurt. As they sat down for dinner, Percy drank a glass full of wine. Laird was surprised as Maddie shows up at their house, to which shock Maddie as well. As they eat, Percy arrogantly chat with his parents and acting disrespectful. He then leaves them and proceeded to destroy the car. After dinner, Percy ended up their relationship. Gary delivers the damaged car to Maddie. Percy confronted his parents and told them not to worry about him anymore. With the tax dues, Maddie takes the damaged car and continue Ubering as she works as a bartender. She then managed to save and pay her debts and have the car fixed. She was able to reconcile with Gary. During the celebration, Sarah then broke the news about them moving out of Mountac, not being able to afford to buy a house, which leaves Maddie in disbelief. Sarah then convinces Maddie to move on and get her life up. Maddie tried to reconcile and asks Percy's forgiveness for betraying him, but Percy was not convinced and starts to drive off. Then Maddie jumps on the hood of the car. Percy ended up crashing the car on the ocean and finally they reconcile. Maddie sold the house to Jim and Sarah and moved to California as Percy packs his things to go to Princeton. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to stay updated on our latest movie recaps.